You ever have one of those moments where time doesn't slow down? It just stops? That's what happened the second I saw James get down on one knee in front of Cassie, holding out a ring like we were in the middle of some rom-com finale and not, my birthday party. People gasped. Someone dropped their drink. And me? I didn't say a word. I just stood there, frozen, cupcake still in hand, candles still flickering. The happy birthday song had barely ended. We were supposed to be cutting the cake. Instead, I was watching my best friend propose to my ex-girlfriend in my living room. Yep, that happened. To rewind a bit, I'm Caleb, 30, and this little disaster unfolded 2 nights ago on my birthday. A chill get-together at my apartment that was supposed to be low-key. Just close friends, music, pizza, a cake from that bakery Cassie used to love, ironic in hindsight, and a few drinks. I'd even told everyone, no gifts, just show up. Cassie and I had dated for almost 3 years. We'd broken up 8 months ago. It was mutual, or so I thought. We'd grown apart. She wanted more adventure, whatever that meant. There was no big fight, no betrayal, or so I believed. James had been my best friend since middle school. We'd done everything together, school projects, camping trips, our first beer, even tried starting a podcast once. He was there through every breakup, every promotion, every dumb life decision. He was practically my brother. So imagine my surprise when I invited them both to my birthday party, not thinking anything of it. And he decided that moment, my moment, was the time to drop to one knee and declare eternal love. The room had gone silent, like completely dead. I mean, how do you even react to something like that? Cassie's hands flew to her mouth. Oh my God, she whispered, looking around like she wasn't sure what reality she'd just entered. Then she looked at me, and I swear for a split second, I saw guilt flash across her face. But she said yes. Of course she did. She nodded, tearfully, and hugged him. And people started clapping. Because what else do you do when you witness something like that? It's like a reflex. Only a few people didn't join in. My cousin Mark looked horrified. My friend Rachel mouthed, "What the hell," at me. But the rest? They were caught up in the spectacle. James pulled Cassie close, kissed her forehead, and held up the ring for everyone to see. "We didn't want to steal your spotlight, Caleb," he said, smiling like he was the good guy in the story. "But we figured, what better time than when all the people we love are in one place?" That's when it clicked. The way Cassie had insisted on helping plan the party. How she offered to coordinate the guest list. James had been weirdly eager to help too, saying he'd take care of the drinks and set up the playlist. All the little things I'd brushed off suddenly formed a very clear, very ugly picture. They'd planned this. Together. On my birthday. I didn't yell. I didn't throw a drink. I didn't storm out or cry. Instead, I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I had something they didn't know I had. Evidence. See, about 6 weeks ago, I started getting this gut feeling. It wasn't paranoia. It was instinct, the kind you get when something's just off. James started dodging plans. Cassie texted me out of the blue a couple of times, just checking in. At first I ignored it. But then Rachel, my friend from work who also knew both of them, told me she saw James and Cassie having lunch together on a random Tuesday. No big deal, right? Except they didn't mention it to me. And Cassie doesn't even like the place Rachel saw them at. So I started paying attention. Quietly. No accusations, no drama. I wasn't trying to catch anyone. I just needed to know. I backed up my text messages, dug up some old photos, scrolled through my Instagram DMs, and started noticing a pattern. James had commented on Cassie's stuff way more than usual. Flirty little jokes. A few inside references. Nothing scandalous on its own. But in context, it was starting to look sketchy. Then one night, I saw them. Together. In his car. Parked outside her apartment building. I didn't confront them. Didn't even make a sound. I just took a photo from my car across the street. And that's when the messages started coming in. Anonymous Instagram accounts. A random text from a number I didn't recognize. They've been seeing each other since February. Thought you should know. February. As in 5 months ago. As in while Cassie and I were still doing the whole, maybe we'll get back together thing. The casual coffee catch-ups. The occasional late-night phone calls. The tears. The shared playlists. And all this time, she'd been warming up to James. So no, I wasn't shocked when he proposed. Disgusted, sure, but not shocked. And as they stood there, basking in the glow of their engagement, I pulled out my phone. Quietly. No announcement. No speech. I just opened my Photos app and started mirroring my screen to the TV mounted behind them. The one they didn't realize was still connected. Click. The first image appeared. Cassie and James. In his car. Late at night. Her hand on his chest. Someone gasped. Then the next one. A screenshot of a text Cassie sent James. He still thinks we're just reconnecting. God, I feel bad sometimes, but not enough to stop. Then a voice message. I tap play. Her voice, unmistakable. I know it's wrong, but I think we're just meant to be. Caleb's too safe. Too predictable. You're exciting. The room went silent again. But this time it wasn't awe. It was discomfort. Confusion. Betrayal. James turned, slowly. Cassie's face drained of color. And I stood there, finally letting that smile fade, as I said calmly. You said you didn't want to steal my spotlight. Don't worry. You didn't. I just gave it back to myself. James looked like he'd been hit by a truck. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Cassie, she did that rapid blinking thing she always did when she was about to lie and couldn't find the right angle. But this time, there wasn't one. Not with the evidence glowing on the TV behind them and a room full of witnesses staring. Caleb, she started, stepping toward me, hands up like she could somehow rewind time. This isn't what it looks like. A beat passed, then another, and then Rachel, bless her soul, said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, "Girl, come on." That cracked the silence like glass. I looked around. Mark was shaking his head, his arm protectively around his wife. Evan from my gym stood there with his drink halfway to his lips, clearly stunned. Emily, my neighbor from 2 doors down who barely knew me, mouthed wow before slipping toward the door. Even Cassie's college friend Olivia, who'd always been firmly Team Cassie, looked uncomfortable. James finally found his voice. Man, I didn't. It wasn't supposed to. He stopped himself. His eyes scanned the room, searching for some kind of ally. He found none. You didn't mean to propose to my ex at my birthday party? I asked, still calm, still measured. Or you didn't mean to get caught? It's not like that, he said. We didn't plan it that way. Really? I nodded at the cake on the table. The topper said 30 and thriving. Cassie had picked it out. So the playlist, the cake, the guest list. All her ideas. You just went along for the ride. James winced. We just didn't know how to tell you. We weren't trying to hurt you. I took a slow breath. You know, if you two had just come to me and been honest, yeah, I'd have been pissed. But I would have respected that more than this. I waved a hand toward the room. This public show, this fake surprise engagement like we're not all standing in a house full of people who knew us as a couple. Cassie stepped forward again. I didn't want it to happen like this. I told James it was too soon. But you still said yes. I interrupted. You still smiled for the crowd. You still let everyone clap like this was something to celebrate. At my party. She blinked again. You're making a scene. No, I said, leveling my eyes at her. You made the scene. I just flipped the projector on. The tension in the room hit critical mass. Someone cleared their throat awkwardly. I saw Sarah quietly guiding her husband toward the door, and a few others followed. The party was crumbling, and honestly, I was okay with that. I turned to the group, still lingering. I'm sorry for the drama, guys. This wasn't the night I planned. If you want to stay, you're welcome. If not, I totally get it. A few friends nodded. Some offered hugs. A couple shot dirty looks at James and Cassie as they left. Cassie looked around, suddenly realizing her audience was evaporating. So what now? She asked, voice tight. You just going to ruin us in front of everyone? I didn't ruin anything, I said, finally letting the mask drop just a little. You did that all on your own. James took a shaky step toward me. We were going to tell you after the party. I swear, man. Right? I said, bitter now. Because nothing says respect like proposing in front of the guy you backstabbed and then planning to break the news after everyone's gone. We didn't want to lose you, he mumbled. You already did. That one hit him. I saw it. His face twisted like I'd smacked him, and maybe I had, just with the truth. Cassie was still clinging to some shred of control. What are you going to do? Tell everyone some edited version of the story that makes you look like the victim? I don't need to edit anything, I said. You two scripted the whole thing yourselves. I just hit play. There was a beat. No one spoke. Then James looked at Cassie. Maybe we should go. Her lips parted like she wanted to protest. Maybe she still thought she could salvage something, but she followed him. They grabbed their coats in silence. She paused at the door and looked back one last time. I don't know what she expected, maybe a nod, a sign I still cared. But all she saw was me turning away to toss the rest of the untouched cake in the trash. As the door clicked shut behind them, Rachel let out a long whistle. Well, that escalated. Yeah, I muttered. You want a drink? Absolutely. We poured bourbon into plastic cups, classy, I know, and sat on the couch that now felt like a war zone. A few others lingered, awkwardly trying to shift the mood. Mark put on some music, something chill. Sarah came back in with extra snacks from her car, bless her heart. The party limped on, smaller, quieter, but warmer somehow. An hour later, I was standing by the window, watching the city lights blur in the glass, when Rachel joined me. I knew something was off, she said. You tried to tell me. She shrugged. You weren't ready to hear it. Now you are. I looked at her. Thanks for having my back. Always. She nudged me with her shoulder. So what's next? I looked down at my phone. Still open to the last text Cassie had sent James. Still glowing with betrayal. I think it's time to take a break, I said. From trusting the wrong people. Rachel raised her cup. To trusting better. I clinked mine against hers. To that. But in the back of my mind, something was already stirring. A quiet thought. A detail I hadn't said out loud. Because while everyone thought I'd dropped the bomb already, they hadn't seen the real secret yet. The real bombshell? I hadn't shown it yet. See, the photos, the texts, the voice message, those were just the prelude. The, you messed up and I know it moment. But the reason I'd stayed so calm, the reason I didn't scream, didn't lash out, because I had one more thing. One thing I hadn't shared with anyone, not even Rachel. I didn't plan to reveal it. Honestly, I thought I never would. But after they left, after the fake engagement, and all the awkward silence and hollow apologies, I just sat there thinking, why not? Why not show everyone exactly who they really were? The next morning, I opened a private folder on my phone. It was labeled March. That was when Cassie and I had technically still been together, though things had started to feel off. Inside the folder? Screenshots, videos, and a voice recording. See, back in March, I'd left my old phone charging in the kitchen while I took a nap. I had a voice memo app running because I was recording myself talking through work ideas. What I didn't know was that Cassie had come over, unannounced, and brought James with her. They didn't know the mic was still rolling. The audio captured everything. I didn't listen to it for weeks. But when Rachel mentioned seeing them together, I remembered that memo. I played it. And what I heard. Cassie, he still thinks we're just figuring things out. James, you sure he's not going to figure it out? Cassie, Caleb, he's sweet, but clueless. He'd never suspect us. James, this feels wrong. Cassie, laughing. You've already kissed me twice. It stopped being innocent a long time ago. James, you said he still talks about getting back together. Cassie, yeah, he does. That's why we have to be careful. I'll keep stringing him along for now. Let him think it's still a maybe. Just until we figure things out. James, figure what out? Cassie, whether you're the one, genius. That was the moment. That was the moment I knew the entire last year of my life had been a lie. And that maybe it was time I stopped pretending I didn't already know the truth. So that afternoon, after the party fiasco, I sent that audio file to a small group. Not the whole party list, just the ones who had stayed, the ones who mattered. Rachel, Mark, Sarah, and Evan. Carlos from work. Olivia, even. No captions. Just the audio file. The responses came in like thunder. Rachel, I knew it. I freaking knew it. Mark, holy hell, Caleb. This is next-level betrayal. Sarah, you were right not to lose your cool. This speaks for itself. Olivia just sent back one word. Wow. Then, around dinner time, James called me. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. His voice cracked halfway through. Caleb, please man, we didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't know she was saying all that to you while telling me something else. I feel sick. I messed up. I know I did. No apology. Just guilt. Then Cassie texted me. Paragraphs. Long, emotional, self-pitying paragraphs. I never meant to hurt you. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I ruined it. Please don't send that audio to anyone else. You don't know how much damage that could do. I stared at the screen, and then I replied. You didn't worry about damage when you said it. She didn't respond. That night, I finally felt it. Peace. The chaos was over. The show had ended. The masks were off. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. I was free. 1 week later, James moved out of the apartment he and Cassie had rushed to lease. Rumor is he's staying with his cousin in Jersey. Cassie deleted her Instagram for a few days. When she came back, the engagement ring was gone, and her captions had a very different tone. James tried reaching out one last time. Not to apologize. To ask if I'd consider talking things out. Said he missed our friendship. I left him on read. Rachel's been coming over more lately. We've always been close, but now it's different. We sit on the balcony and talk about life, about growth, about trust. She doesn't bring up Cassie or James unless I do. Last night, she said, "You know, you handled that better than most people would have." "Yeah." I asked. "Yeah," she said. "You didn't scream. You didn't fight. You didn't humiliate them. You just told the truth." "Truth's a funny thing," I said. "It doesn't need fireworks. Just a screen and some silence." She smiled. "Well, if you ever need help picking a better birthday cake next year, I'm available." "I'll hold you to that," I said, "because next year, it'll be my birthday. Just mine. And the only thing anyone's proposing will be a toast. To honesty. To boundaries. To knowing your worth. To being done with people who never deserved your loyalty in the first place."